Okay, hello Jonah.
Good evening.
Welcome to another episode of Album Check. This is episode 9?
Uh, yes, yeah, episode 9.
We'll edit in post if it's not. And we're talking about the Mac Miller album Swimming. This was the final album released while he was still with us.
Rest in
I think he,
peace.
I think he died maybe like a month after.
Yeah, it wasn't long. It was like this came out in 2018 and he died in 2018.
hmm,
So it was close proximity to each other.
yeah. So what's your entry point into Mac Miller?
I remember being shown Mac Miller's music on the school bus a long time ago, and I was like, man, this is why. And then I didn't really listen to him much again until Circles came out, and you were like, Jonah, listen to Circles, man, it's real good. And then I did, and I was like, damn, that is real good.
Mhm.
So we're going back a little bit to the one before with Swimming. And so this is the second full Mac Miller album I've listened to.
Yeah, my story is basically exactly the same. Strong memories of the school bus, specifically the song "Donald Trump" by Mac, which is kind of funny to think back on because that song now, if you played it now, probably very different kind of attitudes towards
Yeah.
Trump.
I expect
When
he's remembered for different things now.
but yeah, it's very interesting because that song, was my first experience. Um, it's very kind of frat boy rap, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he's
Um,
done quite a shift over his career, as far as my understanding goes. Anyway, um, he started off just being sort of, I want to say generic. That feels too harsh a term, but I don't have a better word. And then he sort of became one of the more mainstream sort of outliers, if that makes
mhm,
sense. Like for an outlier, he managed to remain mainstream.
mhm.
You know.
Yeah. So yeah, then Circles came out after he passed. I really loved that album.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
beautiful album. That was one of the best ones of last year.
yeah,
Yeah,
2020.
damn.
But yeah, let's get into swimming. I just before we do, I want to talk about this album cover because I think
Oh,
this album cover is just incredible.
it is.
Like I love it. Um, it's a coffin. It's essentially a coffin, but then there's like an airplane window
Oh, I didn't
in
pick
it.
up on the coffin thing. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So it seems that I haven't delved back into Mac's discography, but he seems to like talk about death like a lot.
Mm,
It's like a recurring kind of theme, which is
okay.
quite sad in hindsight as well,
Mm.
considering his passing. But yeah, the fact he did die and the album cover he's literally sitting in his coffin
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
It's kind of dark.
It is
Um,
eerie.
but yeah, then you have like that's a plain window in the back.
Yeah, yeah. I sort of wondered what the significance of that was. But I couldn't kind of come up with anything. I just thought it
Well,
looked cool.
welcome to another episode of Connor's Hot Takes, where we read into things that aren't actually there.
All right, hit me with it.
Well, he talks about drugs a lot. There's
He
like half
does.
of this album is about getting high. So I guess I kind of saw it as you know, up on a plane,
Mm,
physically high. Um, then obviously there's kind of the negative effects. There's the coffin part of it kind of
okay,
hanging
yeah,
over it.
yeah.
He's like sitting there, kind of very kind of self-reflectively
Mm.
contemplating.
I like it. I like your interpretation. It's pretentious, but not so much that I'm like, nah. It's like it makes sense, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And obviously the album's called Swimming. Again, this is stronger reach, but whenever John Travolta was researching for Pulp Fiction, he plays a like a drug addict essentially in it,
Mm, yeah.
and he was like meeting with heroin addicts or former heroin addicts to you know understand what it's like to be an addict, but how it feels because without actually having to do heroin. So he's
Mm.
like, how do I simulate that? What's the closest thing I can do? And the guy said, drink like a whole bunch of tequila, get kind of drunk,
Mm.
and then go and like lie in a warm swimming pool. and that's
Right.
what the come down, like what
Okay.
that's at the lowest level
Yeah. Yeah. I
feels
see.
like. So I don't know if that's why it's called swimming, but in my brain I made that kind of
Okay. Yeah. That sounds reasonable. Yeah.
connection.
I like that explanation. Um, I don't know what his drugs of choice were, but that it certainly makes sense if it was heroin or whatever.
Mm.
I just love I don't have any significance for it, but I love the imagery of him in the suit, so he's like really well dressed, but then he just doesn't have any shoes on and his feet are all dirty.
They're literally
Wha-
dirty.
Yeah, like I don't know what that means, but it looks awesome. It's a cool kind of contrast, you know?
It's nice. It's a nice suit too.
It is. I couldn't pull something like that off, but he does.
But yeah, like we said before, he kind of started off with a kind of frat boy rap thing, and we started with "Come to Earth," and it is the furthest thing
Yeah.
from that at all. Like, there's just no percussion whatsoever.
hmm Yeah, he sort of started to push the singing more later on
Hmm
in his career, as I understand. And yeah, he sort of just goes for it on this one, and this is a really nice song, I think.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it starts kind of immediately with his vocals, kind of with singing,
hmm
and that like acoustic guitar, and you, it's quite interesting because there's not a lot of I feel like saying there's not a lot of musicians is quite harsh, but there's not a lot of rappers who play instruments.
Yeah,
Like a whole lot of hip hop is very kind of
the rapper and the producer, the two separate things.
yeah, but or them like physically chopping up
Yeah,
beats and things.
yeah.
Um, Mac like learned how to play guitar and piano and stuff,
Mm.
and I think you can really feel that throughout the album. That is quite more
It's more
melodic.
musical
Yeah,
than a lot of hip hop for sure, and arguably it sort of branches out of hip hop at a good few points on this album.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, the instrumentation here is really nice. That guitar is super light, and the keys complement it really well. I just man, the synths on this album, they are so pretty. They've got gorgeous sort of hollow sound.
It
It's
really
consistent
reminds me
throughout.
of Vangelis, the guys who did the score for the Blade
Yeah,
Runner,
yeah.
the first one.
Yeah, actually, no, I was thinking of that as I was listening to this album. There were several points actually. Um, so yeah, it just sounds so sort of bright and airy. This instrumentation.
Yeah, Dissect, the podcast Dissect, which is a much better podcast than this one, which you should listen to. This guy actually knows music theory, and he takes an album each season and he goes through and like really analyzes it, like deep dive.
Like way
And
more than we do.
and this season he's doing Mac Miller, just coincidentally, and it's in the middle of it. And I was listening to a little bit of that, and he was kind of explaining my regrets look just like text I shouldn't send line.
Mm,
And the court documents after he died kind of revealed that text that he'd sent
mm,
to his drug dealer, I believe, or like
right.
trying to get drugs, and then died.
Okay. Yeah. Oh,
Opening
that.
this album on
Yeah.
my regrets look just like text I shouldn't send is just kind of really ominous.
Yeah. There were a lot of similar moments on Circles too, where it's just like with the new information that we have from the future, it's like, oh, I can't believe he said that line. You know,
Yeah,
it's kind of like he knew it was coming, even though this album it sort of presents the idea that he's kind of moving forward and getting
mm,
better. It's like eerie at some points.
it's really it's really freaky during parts of it, and again the title itself, like "Come Back to Earth," kind of implies a
You've
kind
been
of
high.
coming down from the
Yeah,
high, or like
yeah.
being grounded.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you can tie that into the dirty feet in the in the album
Maybe,
cover.
yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
That line, "I just need a way out of my head,"
Mm,
that's heartbreaking. It's just like you completely kinda stuck thinking about this crappy situation you're in,
mm-hmm,
and you can't kinda distract yourself with anything.
mm-hmm.
That sounds like a horrible, horrible feeling. And then the line, "The things I do to spend a little time in hell."
Mhm.
it's like he'd go move heaven and earth to, get a high, and then he'd get it and just be like, this is not worth it. This is terrible.
Yeah, that I just need a way out of my head line. I always talk about kind of I prefer getting 2 plus 2 rather than 4, but that's one of those ones where it's just kind of nice how straight to the point it is.
Yeah.
I guess every now and again, everyone wants a little bit of a break from their own thoughts.
Definitely. But yeah, no, that's all the lyrics I wanted to speak about on there. Hurt feelings.
Produced by J. Cole. Fun fact.
Really? Oh, yeah. J Cole. I mean, I don't like J Cole, but he he can make some decent beats.
I like this one, and again, Mac not having a particularly strong singing voice, but the chorus in this one is structured in such a way that I think it really
Yeah,
works for
definitely.
me.
Yeah,
It like
yeah.
definitely plays to his kind of strength.
Strengths. Yeah, like, but with a lot of these rappers now, they're singing when maybe they're not the best at it. Like, if they can showcase their creativity using it, even if they're not technically brilliant, it can really pay off and add like a lot more emotional kind of range to a song than
Mhm.
if they were just rapping. Not that there's anything wrong with just rap songs, but like it definitely, if you broaden your horizons in that way, you can get a lot done with it in
Mm.
terms of the emotions you can kind of display.
Yes, no, definitely, definitely. But he brings kind of really great rapping here too, really great lines. I really love the I paid the cost to see apostrophes one,
Mm,
just on you rhyming all the syllables.
mm-hmm.
The high end jacuzzis, I'd be hitting the jets. This is a great double entendre about kind of being drug high or like literally high in jacuzzis, and then hitting the jets of the
Yeah.
jacuzzis, but then high in life and literally being on like jet planes.
Yeah.
I just smart writing.
Yeah. I love how he's sort of looking at how his career has changed him, sort of for better and worse, because you get a lot of rappers, they'll speak about like, oh man, the fame is terrible, but he's sort of like giving us a very balanced
Mm,
perspective on it, which I appreciate. Uh, and that beat you're saying J Cole made, I love how sort of light the drums are on it,
mm,
because it's got like an 808 bass line and those like rattling hi hats, but they're not overbearing like they are in a lot of trap stuff.
mm.
And those weird keys that come in, often during the chorus, they sound kind of sequenced. I don't know if you can hear them in your head, but they
I
sound
can't hear them.
so nice. And of course you got the guitar sample chop in the background, sort of providing the main body. I just think the whole thing sounds really pleasant.
Mm.
And like you were saying, his delivery of the chorus, um, it feels like he has a sort of loose delivery of it. Like he's not
Yeah, it's very kind of casual and just going with the
casual.
flow
That's
kind
the
of thing.
word. Yeah. He's not even like completely on beat, but not to its detriment. So yeah, I like this one a lot.
Yeah, it's
It's
one you really want to sing
maybe
along with.
yeah. Uh, maybe a little long, which is
I didn't find that, but
on this album. I think there's a good few songs that drag on a bit,
yeah, I'd
but
agree. At an hour, it's a bit long.
yeah.
I just want to draw attention to something that I'm probably reading way too much into. But there's the line where he says, "But I'm giving 150%," and that line is layered. So the line's said it's backed up twice,
Yeah.
but the second one in the background is panned to the far left ear. So
Oh,
it's one and a
50.
half. It's a
Yeah.
hundred and
Yeah, I like that. That's really cool.
so I think that's intentional. But then again, it continues on after that. There's a full set of layering on the verse after that, and that one's really interesting because his voice is quite low, but then the backing one on that, he's saying the same lines, but he's physically like pitching his voice up. He's saying it in like a higher
Yeah,
register.
that is
It
cool.
sounds
I
really
didn't pick
interesting.
up on that. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, but
Um,
I really like this one.
it does not compare to What's the Use though. This
You can
one
love it.
is
You can leave it. Yeah, this one's a great. It's so good.
funky. This is where he's like, actually, no, he didn't produce this one, so he probably isn't showing his musicianship, but he's showing his appreciation for musicianship on this
Just,
one a lot, because this one is funky.
jazzy as hell.
Yeah,
That like bass in it is just
it's so funky, groovy, and that the drums are so like, that's not a drum machine. They're hand played drums, and I like that.
again. There's parts of this. The keyboard sounds like it's underwater to me. Whatever
Yeah,
effect they have on it, I guess like again really ties into the whole swimming thing. Again, there's that line all the way in with no exit plan, or you left and the jet don't land. I guess kind of ties into the idea of being high in the album cover with the plane, and not really having a kind of regard for your future. I didn't realize Snoop Dogg was on this until I like looked it up.
Where is he? Where's he on this?
He's like very much in the back in the second chorus.
Oh, I
and
see
at
it
the
now.
and at the end.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and they got Thundercat on the bridge. That Thundercat is awesome. He's so talented. But yeah, my favorite thing about this song is, at least as far as my interpretation goes, it's about him craving drug use, and that sort of makes the upbeat vibe really quite ironic. I think the contrast of the lyrical content and the musical backing is really cool.
Yeah, and again, treating it so casually and that kind of, well, what's the use of trying to stop? I like it.
Yeah,
I can keep going with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, definitely. The bridge is like a real ascending nature to it, which I guess kind of
I have that written down
into the kind of getting high thing.
You were mentioning the Vangelis. I don't know.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Anyway, the you're referencing his synths, and this is a prime example of that like lead synth. It sounds really distant. Like it feels sort of Blade Runner-esque in that it sounds like it's sort of 2 streets over. And the saw background synth is just really full, and I love I get really excited by stuff like that. His rapping too, he plays really sort of loose and free with his flow. And it's sort of like he's falling on and off beat, which complements the sort of jazzy nature of it, I think. And those like female vocal harmonies that come in, just gorgeous. Beautiful.
It's definitely one of the best ones on the album, I think.
Yeah,
probably because it is just so catchy.
It is. And I forgot the flipping synth solo in the outro. That's so tasteful. It's just like, yes, that's what I want. I like that.
Yeah, good song. Like perfecto. This one again, it sounds watery to me. It sounds like a water level in Mario. Do you hear that? I think it's like the xylophone.
Bro, no, I have Mario Galaxy synth written down on
here. There you go.
Like, that's crazy.
See, it's interesting though, because I was thinking about this. Like, it's not even like those instruments or whatever, those sounds. If you were to hear them on their own, they don't sound like water, but they're used in context and like water levels or something in video games that make me then associate it with water, which I guess kind of he did too. I think it makes sense here. That's funny that we both kind of had a Mario.
That is cool. That is really cool. Man, the drums here, they sound so weird in such a good way. Like the choice of sounds has a really unique texture to it, and just the rigid way they've been spliced together. I can't quite describe it. It sounds like it's like real drums that are being sequenced on a drum machine, and it's just so cool. Like I can't describe it more than that. I wish I could, but I love those drums. I think they're so creative. And the chords to add to that, there's sort of like a chiming sound, making up the chords, and that reminded me of Mario Galaxy as well.
I wonder if there is a genuine Mario connection, or we're just.
I hope so, because we're talking about it a lot. um, this one is less about drugs, I think, and more about relationship, or maybe his relationship with drugs. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing with any of those things. You can, it could be either, I guess. But I kind of took the she put me back together when I'm out of order. I guess I kind of saw that as drugs, but I guess there was the kind of high profile relationship with Ariana Grande that a lot of people read a lot of things into.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, my favorite line on this. If I do say the do say with the homies like it's Kool-Aid, like the do say,
Hmm.
that's clever. Like that's the kind of thing when I sit down and I try and write. I don't come up with stuff like that. I don't know how you get that talent, but that's that on display. I love lines like and the like the rhymes, the way it like what's the word? Internal rhymes.
Hmm.
That's so cool. I want to know how to do that, but I can't. It's so annoying.
It's interesting just that the end. He does it quite a few times. The end just completely switches almost
Mm,
into a different song. Um, or most of it is kind of casual and things, and then you get the strings and this very kind of, I don't know. It's almost like a poem more than rapping or singing with
yeah,
that spin me around. It's just
yeah,
interesting that he keeps switching it. He does it quite a few times. I don't know if this is a again a kind of the high and the come down kind of thing.
sure.
But it's certainly interesting.
Hmm. Definitely. Also, just I don't know why this sprung into my mind now, but I just thought it was interesting to talk about. Did you see what Fontano gave this album?
Yeah. Okay. So for those who are unaware, Anthony Fantano is essentially like the
He's
biggest
the music reviewer.
music critic in the world. So he's well respected, and he gave us a 3 out of 10, which is just ridiculous.
I know, like I can genuinely appreciate not being in love with this album. That makes sense.
There's valid criticism, I think.
But 3, that's so bad. That's like trash tier, and this isn't that. And by no stretch of the imagination is this that. He is
He
just wrong.
he really hated 2009.
Yeah, I know. He keeps whinging about Mac's voice, but then he rated Circles really highly, even though obviously Mac's voice has not changed at all. It's so stupid. But hey, we love Fantano.
Anyway,
Self care.
again, this one sounds so underwater. Again, it's like a concert at an aquarium or something.
I don't get it from this one. Personally.
Well, the whole start of that, whatever I don't have no idea what
Okay, yeah,
kind of.
the start does. The start does, yes. With the like
Yeah.
that that sounds so stupid. But yeah, no, okay, fair enough. I can see you're right.
Have you seen the music video for this?
Yeah, it's really cool. Where he's in
Again,
the coffin.
he's in the coffin, which is freaky as hell.
Yeah.
Considering he freaking died.
Mm.
Um, but again, like really casual, like upbeat kind of chorus. Which again, so catchy. He's got really really great choruses.
He does.
On this. JID, is it JID or JID?
I think either or he goes by. I think officially it's JID, but
Okay,
that's
well,
a
anyway,
kind of a mouthful.
apparently he's on here as well. Like, there's very few features on this album, so
Yeah,
much so that they're
they
all
aren't.
like secret. They're not, yeah, not even
Yeah,
features.
they're just sort of like providing some light backing vocals. Um, the the chorus feels sort of dreary to me.
Hmm.
Maybe dreary is the wrong word. That sort of adds negative connotations, but it's just so sort of laid back, and it feels like the term self care does. I love the delivery of the line, like "I'm treating me right." It's so funny. Um, the 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 way the beat is built up with those sort of auto tune vocal chops.
Hmm.
Normally, I hate those sort of pitched up vocals that are used sort of in more sort of electronic music, but I really like them here. Um, and the sounds he selected for the drums, especially that kick drum, they just fit the vibe immaculately.
Mm.
Um,
No,
and
no, definitely.
this song, this just makes me smile.
Ah, but
Like,
there's lines in it like I got all the time in the world now, so I'm just chilling, which is
yeah,
it has a casts a
oh,
long shadow.
yeah, that.
Um,
Ugh,
but then
ugh.
there's lines like hell yeah they let me cook, which reminds me of like Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad,
Oh yeah,
which I just find kind of amusing.
yeah.
Um,
There's a really clever line. Swear the height be too tall, so like September I fall. Obviously, Americans
oh,
refer to autumn as fall.
oh, very good. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, those are the kind of lines. Those are good rap lines. That's what you should be aiming for when
Mm.
you're writing raps. Um,
But again, like this is I think well, I think the entire album, but this song as well. I think Max, the way he actually sounds with his rapping and his kind of flow and things, not the most original or unique. I feel like you could definitely find a lot of people who sound in a similar vein in terms of his voice specifically. But
you
he
think? I think he
has.
got a very distinct
You
voice,
think
for
so?
better or worse. Sometimes I think it works. Sometimes I think it doesn't.
I think very easily he could have disappeared 10 years ago in terms of
Okay,
in that kind of early. He came up with a certain group of people in the 2010s um,
yeah,
rap scene and
yeah.
very easily could have disappeared like most of them did. I'm struggling to even
Name
name
any
people,
of the
but
others. Yeah.
because you forget. But he has like actually like really strong writing and like it's interesting music. It sounds different.
Yeah,
There's like
yeah,
he does what like all great artists do in or has in the sense that whenever you like play a song on this, you know this is like a Mac Miller song.
yeah, for sure. See, like, it is. It's weird that he had the staying power that he did, because when I say I think he has a unique sound, or like voice and stuff, that's like I associate that with his later career,
Hmm.
but like his earlier career, I get what you mean. It all sort of blends in with a bunch of other stuff. I don't think his beats back then were interesting at all. Um, so I think the production does have a lot to do with it. But in terms of his like vocal tone, he's sort of slurred and not slurred. Yeah, slurred kind of tone to it that I think stands out a lot
Hmm.
personally.
Fair
Like
enough.
I can't think of anyone's voice that sounds quite like his. Again, for better or worse, sometimes it is sounds sort of moany and annoying. But in general, I like it.
Hmm.
What's interesting about this song is kind of two parts.
Yeah, another one which has a complete switch at the end, like a real kind of reality setting in. Part two Oblivion. I didn't know.
Hmm
Um, th-
That's so catchy,
it is.
so catchy.
Like,
Especially when the like those big trap drums come in.
hmm.
It's like a complete catches you off guard every single time. You know?
The outro to it again is just so is really sad. Um, it's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird. I think it does enough to it pulls it off. But I feel like it almost doesn't pull off the switch.
You think?
Yeah.
Do you not think this is a good
I
enough
think. Well,
transition?
sorry. Maybe it's because there is this kind of trick is done a few times on the album
Okay. Yeah, I can
where
see
the
that.
impact is kind of lessened on repeat listens whenever there's.
I do think this is one of the better ones though.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, the the synths sort of again in the distance. That sort of activity there, I think, gives it a really dreary atmosphere.
Mm,
And the like spacey synth swells. This feels sort of sci-fi to me. This Oblivion part.
mm,
And that the outro with those big chords and really cool drums.
mm.
Um, that I find really exciting. Like I always can't wait for the switch on this one. Um, I think Oblivion is possibly just referencing the feeling of being a drug addict where it's just like nothing, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, this one is probably a highlight on the album for me. I think this is one of the singles.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most popular. Definitely. But then we get Wings, which is such an interesting beat for a hip hop
Yeah,
song. Like
yeah,
the whole start of this sounds like it would be of some sort of ambient album. If you took
yeah,
away kind of the drums and the rapping, it sounds like it sounds like an ambient
yeah, yeah.
track. But then you get this kind of, there's always like staticky dial up noises.
I love them.
Yeah, it just feels like something's not quite right. Um, and then there's that almost like clock ticking, but it's like not on beat. It's not consistent. And if you
Mm,
if you try to anticipate it, you
you
can't,
won't.
because
Yeah.
so again, it's really works to make everything feel kind of off.
Have you listened to Fortet? He's an
No.
electronic producer. This sort of gives me a similar vibe to that, where he's got these really sparse parts, but then you get these sort of sudden and rapid swells
Mm.
with just like a lot of interesting sounds, and then they disappear back
Hmm.
down again. So I sort of got that vibe from it.
Yeah, I don't know that, so I'll have to check that out. But it's really, I don't know, it's really interesting. It's sounds like kind of walking through your own brain or something.
Yeah. Whoa, that's really weird. Yeah, that's a perfect description for it.
Yeah, it's weird how I can't quite explain why that makes sense, but it just does for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, reminds me a little bit of Blonde. Do you get that?
Um, I guess in the sense that it's sort of minimalist, but otherwise no.
Okay, fair enough.
Like the vocals, no, no, not that. Like it doesn't remind me of Frank at all.
Well, no, not from the singing perspective, but
The
the
production.
yeah, again, the kind of textured.
I can see where you're coming from, but it didn't spring to mind immediately.
Uh,
Um,
Fair.
what I do like is amongst all that sparsity, there's a huge, like big distorted bass, which is just
Mm.
a really nice contrast. Um, and this song has like a very emotional atmosphere to it to me. Like that chorus is sort of bittersweet.
Yeah, like I'd put some money on Forever, but I don't like to gamble on the weather. Just again, clever way of saying how the future is unpredictable by
Uncertain,
comparing
yeah.
it to the unpredictability of the
The
weather.
weather.
Um,
um, yeah, because it's weird. It's sort of like he's trying to give himself some credit for the steps he's made so far at improving,
mm.
but there's sort of a catch there somehow that I can't quite articulate, and that's really really sad.
Yeah, there's a lot of bittersweet kind of aspects to this album.
Mm,
There's very peaceful vocals of this one, not the kind of thing you typically hear again in hip hop,
yeah,
which just makes it interesting. Do you know what the wings relate to? Because I don't.
I thought it was just because there's points where, like I say, he's trying to give himself credit for the improvement he has made, like where he says, "If you don't fuck with me, you fucking up."
Uh,
Um, so I just thought it was the generic sort of wings. You're taking off. You're taking flight, like bird coming out of the nest.
okay, yeah,
Whatever.
that makes sense because I just in my brain kept thinking of him being like, "These are my wings," and he's like at Nando's and they're like his chicken wings.
Damn man, I want Nando's now. Screw you.
um, yeah, that's probably closer to what you said.
Maybe, but you never know, man. Art is to be interpreted. That'll make quite a funny YouTube video. Anyway, um, right, ladders.
Oh, the start of this one is weird. Like it sounds like hair
It's
clippers on loop.
creepy. It's really freaky. Like yeah, the burr, the like
The
burr.
buzz.
Yeah, the buzz burr.
Burr.
It sounds really quite unsettling.
Mm.
And but when the chords come in, it's sort of reassuring to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, everything's fine, you know. And
Yeah, the buzz gets kind of drowned out by the. This is what really kind of positive, upbeat
mm,
song. Like at least how it sounds. It's kind of sad how it feels so good right now, but it all comes falling down. I guess that's
Yeah.
the fall from any kind of positive emotional
Yeah.
um
But
experience.
I mean, probably drugs again. You feel really good when you take them, but then afterwards you're like,
Mm,
maybe I shouldn't have done that. So like the
mm.
crashing down.
But
Uh,
it sets up the song so well because there's all that kind of texture in the background, and then it like suddenly all like drops out, which makes that the next bit really pop.
Impactful, yeah.
Yeah, because you're not quite like consciously aware of that kind of background noise
Yeah.
until it's gone, and then you're
You're like, whoa. Like that you're not expecting the vibe that comes in
mm,
at all. Like it's kind of completely left field compared to what you were just listening to.
mm.
I like, oh, that jazzy guitar, like what even
Yeah,
is that? It's so fun. And the groove is just immaculate as well.
yeah, and just I think like that like somehow we got to find a way, no matter how many miles it takes, is really nice and reassuring.
Yeah.
Um, I like the line "I've been in this shit so long that I don't smell" is
Oh,
funny.
I,
Um,
I can't believe I didn't pick up on that. That's so funny.
the "Do you mind if I blow your mind" line, that kind of beat skip again, really really satisfying.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess I kind of took the ladders as kind of, I don't know, with any struggle you'll find a way to get over it.
Yeah. I had a like sort of bittersweet interpretation where he's like, well, I'm improving, I'm going up, but it's gonna hurt more if I fall back down again, you
Mm.
know. But I don't have sort of a huge amount of quotes to back that up. That's just how I read into it. But yeah, this one I really like a lot. This
Yeah,
is
again, just that
probably
that
another
real
highlight.
jazzy element of it.
Yeah, he was good at that for sure.
Mm.
Better than a lot of his contemporaries, definitely.
Mm-hmm. No,
Um,
it's a shame. Like ladders definitely stand out for me, but Small Worlds, I really don't like.
I
Um,
understand that. I do like this
like
one, but
this
that
is
makes sense.
this is one where again he's not a great singer, and here it really shines through how much he's not a great singer. I like how he makes it work in other songs, but this one just doesn't should have been cut.
Cut?
Yeah,
That's damn. That's harsh. Fair
they're
enough.
like they're like I hope I never keep you waiting. I like hate that
You really, I quite
so
like that.
much.
It's maybe it just sounds sort of unique and weird to me.
No.
The I do like the beat on this one a lot. Those lo-fi guitar chords and the like muted bass tone and vocalish sounding synth lead. I love when they can make synth sound like sort of human,
Hmm.
but it's in the uncanny valley. I don't know how to do it, but it sounds awesome. And that paired with his sluggish, and I mean that in a good way, sluggish vocal performance that you obviously hate.
Yeah, doesn't work here.
um, uh, that I think it has a really unique vibe to it. Um, I think this is a really great description of or depiction of loneliness because like the people say like the world is so small, um, referring to like connections that are made between things that you would assume were completely distinct, but he's saying sometimes it doesn't feel small at all, and it just feels like you're completely isolated from everything. And obviously, a lot of famous people sort of describe that, and it's
It,
something Max struggled with.
see, the problem is I'm so off put by the singing in the chorus that I cannot care.
Fair enough.
It just
That's
doesn't.
understandable.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think he's very much feeling detached from the world here. Like, hard to complain from this 5-star hotel. And do you want it all if it's all mediocre? That's a heartbreaking line.
Mm.
Like, ugh, just the fact that he's like, no, everything, it's all mediocre. Um, yeah, I do like this one, but I can appreciate why you
I
might not.
appreciate the end when it's just kind of the little piano
Mm,
and him kind of talking over it, a little more spoken word rather than rapping.
Yeah.
And kind of have a slightly mysterious ending, just in that little flutter out,
Yeah.
which I do like. But yeah, overall, skip.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What have we got? Conversation part 1. We never got part 2.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder what part 2 would have been, especially because I don't like this one either.
You don't like this one?
No.
What? Oh, I really, really like this one.
I think there's some good parts to it. When he's on the spaceship, shit is spacious is a really funny line to me.
He
And
did have a good sense of humor.
yeah, and like the lacing up my sneakers, I'd be running out of patience. Again, just really fun wordplay. But I don't know, the rest of it just doesn't add a lot to the album for me.
Fair enough. See, for me, the production on this song is, I can understand someone not liking it. I think it's awesome. Like those chords and chimes, they literally just feel like they're oscillating like clockwork, and just the sound that he chose for them, it has this sort of pensive atmosphere to it. And the like weirdly deep percussion with the bongos, it's super cool.
I just think it doesn't sound anywhere near as interesting as what's on the rest of the album. I think it feels slightly out of place. Maybe it's just like the hi-hats and
Okay, yeah,
things
yeah.
make it feel a little more generic in terms of kind of what the rest of the hip-hop landscape is looking like.
It doesn't sound generic to me, but I can see that you might think it doesn't fit on the album. But those synths, it sounds literally like it's howling. It's so creepy, and the kick drum is weird as hell. It's got it's kind of like it's gated, so it sounds like a boom rather than a boom, which that's probably going to be a pain to edit the audio for. Oh wait, no, I'm editing this one, so I've just screwed myself. And the 808 combined with the kick sounds really, really cool. And the lyrics, I might be reading too far into this one. It sounds like he's just sort of ragging on someone, but I think he might be like referring to his old self. So he's like ragging on his old self from the perspective of the kind of new and improved self.
Right, okay, right, yeah, I didn't see it
That might be beans, but like there's a line where he's like something like, you just sit around the house and you getting faded, and of course he used to do that a lot. So that kind of made me think that he's like, okay, I was whack, but I'm improving now. I'm getting better, so I can kind of look back and cringe at my old self.
Okay, yeah, okay, I can get behind that. I still don't like listening to it though.
Fair enough.
Cut this in Small Worlds.
Fair enough.
But it gets so much better with Dunno. Like, I love. Maybe you can explain what the hell that is at the start. That kind of whole warbly thing again, sounding underwater, and then you get that kind of. It's almost like ping ponging back and forth. To me, that just sounds really reflective. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a huge amount of notes on this one. I do have the start of it sort of feels ghostly, like you described, and the strings that come in are really, really cool, and like the whole thing just weirdly, because it is a sad song, but if the instrumentation feels like the sun coming through the clouds to me. And I think this one is quite clearly about Ariana Grande.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just she do whatever she like, and that just doesn't seem right. Yeah, very, very, very much so, and it's just very sad.
It is really, really sad.
Like, there's that really nice line. Almost missed my flight. I wasn't even tripping.
That's clever.
Which is clever because like tripping
on a flight. Yeah.
Tripping on a flight. I wasn't even bothered, or I wasn't even like high.
triple entendre.
Just great. It's interesting that like them two seems to be like a couple that the internet just seems to really like be
They want to,
heartbroken
yeah. Which
for.
it is very strange, the sort of parasocial aspect of celebrities now, where you're like, I don't know these people at all, but I really want the relationship to work. It's strange, but yeah, people loved that. People really, really loved it. They still haven't forgotten about it.
Yeah, no, very, very much so. But oh my god, I don't know what it is at the end, but it's that slow down thing. It's got to be something John Bryan done. John Bryan produced this album. He's it's really interesting, like musician. He scores a lot of films. He did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. He
Oh
did
yeah. Of course he did.
Lady Bird. He also produced Late Registration, so it's not like he's
He produced Late Registration?
yeah.
What? Oh damn, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, no, he's great, but those fucking strings at the end, which are just incredible, like that's John Bryan all over.
Yeah.
It's just the outro for this is just incredible.
It really, really is. It like completely sort of wraps up the emotion of the song.
Yeah, I love it so much.
Coming off that though, we get a definite cut. This jet fuel is whack.
What?
This is a stupid song. This is so long.
Are you serious?
It's so long, and the beat is just boring. It's like, god damn.
Oh,
No.
I think I really like this. It's so weird and interesting because it's got that like reggae song it's sampling at the start, which should not work, and then it's played against this like slow electric guitar, and it's just this little like guitar riff with a little hammer on. It's very simple. I really like it. I think it's really nice.
Man, I think the only bit I like of this song is when near the end the sort of Travis Scott style humming comes in. And then there's that little auto tune bit at the end. I love that. But everything else leading up to that is such a slog. This song does not need to be 5 minutes long at all. It should be like 2.5 minutes.
This is interesting because it's always me that's like too long, cut. But I really like this one.
Ugh.
I think it's fun. I really like the not fun, it's the wrong word, but I really enjoy that that chorus. Jet fuel is obviously like what he's calling drugs. And it's kind of his highs pick me up. And this idea that he's like so rich that he like never runs out of jet fuel, and this kind of danger of before obviously you can get what you can afford. Now he has access to everything, like all of the time. Again, kind of alarmingly prescient. Again, there's a line as well. He says, "I won't share my Kinect." And again, I just imagine him with like the Xbox 360 Kinect. It's like, hey Mac,
oh my god,
hey Mac,
I forgot about that.
Hey Mac, can I have a go?
No. Oh, that's so funny. Bro, I can't believe I forgot about the Kinect. That was a wild time in history. What even was that? Anyway. Right. Whack song. Go away. Don't like it.
What? I mean, ridiculous. Oh, also want to point out there's like waves on the beach at the start again, just swimming thing.
Man likes water.
Man likes water.
2009. Right. This is a good one.
Oh god, this again. Okay, this was driving me nuts because I was like, that intro is so goddamn familiar, and I could like hear the thing it reminded me of, and it was like this like laughing, and I was like, what is that? And I was like, I think it's a Kanye. The song Late Registration by Kanye.
Oh.
As the same intro, essentially.
Right, yeah, okay.
They sample the same thing. Again, interesting because John Bryan produced both.
Yeah. Well, this one was produced by Eric G.
Oh, okay.
Whoever that is. But the strings, they remind me a lot of the strings on Iridescence. Just the vibe of it, I I'm not articulate enough to describe it beyond that. They just feel very melancholic and reflective and very, very, very sad.
It's nostalgia. This is weird. I'm writing an essay on nostalgia at the minute, so I'm like
You're
very
honed in. Yeah.
into like nostalgia stuff, and yeah, Svetlana Boym defines nostalgia as a longing for a home that you can never return to.
Oh
There
my
you
god.
go. We're
That
getting
hurt, man. Wow, ow. That's painful.
it may even be an imagined home that does not exist.
Oh god.
But yeah, there's
Too
like
real, man.
there's a real like nostalgia is very bittersweet. There's a real longing in it that just really comes through here. There's like the you can never kind of go back to that time or that
Never go back to
place,
2009.
which is kind of right before he
Blew up.
blew up.
Yeah. Look, yeah, this song really is just lyrically and musically gorgeous. Piano chords fill a void in my soul that needs filled. And I love how stripped back the percussion is, but you also have these tom fills, which add a sort of human element to it. High pitched soul vocal chops again, like on Self Care, and his like really coarse voice fits well over such lavish and clean instrumentation. I think, yeah, just sounds so personal and this brilliant song.
Yeah, the piano just sounds so like bittersweet,
Mm,
and yeah, I think you can all kind of relate to that moment where you're all nostalgic and you're looking back and you're like, "Fuck, all that time's gone."
yeah, and this like is a perfect encapsulation of it. And he's not like he's not looking on his new life as if it's all bad, but he's just like, okay, I've got all this knowledge about the way the industry is now, and I can kind of take that forward, even if it hurts to kind of think back to when it was simpler, you know?
Yeah, I think this is a really does a good job of getting the feeling of nostalgia and the bittersweetness of it.
Yeah. And then finally we have So It Goes.
Oh, this is tricky for me.
2009 should be the outro.
Well, here, right. Yeah, well, I don't, so this song isn't great. I'm not huge on it, but the way it finishes, I think, is perfect.
In what way?
Well, dude, the outro is just incredible.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant like kind of thematically.
Oh no. Well, I'll get to like the very
yeah,
end.
yeah.
So the start of it doesn't feel like the end at all because it's this very like kind of wooden, plucky, thing to it. There's a dog barking and stuff at the start. I don't really know why.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
I love the kind of red light stop and then the whole music stops. Learned this from Dissect. Apparently, that's called word painting.
Wow.
So there you go.
Thanks, Cole Kushner.
You take that back. You take that back.
That sounded condescending. I love Dissect. It's dope. Anyway, I do like this song, and sometimes I listen to it and I'm like, okay, no, this is a good outro, but most of the time I'm like, nah, 2009 would have been a perfect outro for the album.
Yeah.
I do like this sort of feeling. It's similar to the Billie Eilish album, Happier Than Ever. You like the kind of emotional climax and then it's done. But I sort of sometimes appreciate the coming back down after that and just a more sort of, what's the word? I want to say simple ending. That's not, doesn't really describe what I want to.
Like left in a resolved place.
Yeah.
Rather than the kind of emotional high.
Yeah. It just, I feel like it could give some perspective. But I think in this case, as I say, 2009 should be the outro. That said, the bass tone on this song, I love it. I love it. The percussion is just fantastic. They all sound, all the drums sound really, really hollow, and don't
Mm.
have body to them. But I mean that in a good way. And the distorted synths give it sort of a woozy ambiance. And the guitar sounds almost childish to me,
Mm.
which I like coming off of 2009 and the nostalgic themes of that.
So we've got the synths again as well. Those kind of Vangelis synths. It makes it feel kind of full circle with Come Back to Earth.
Yeah.
Which I think helps in terms of making it as an ending.
Mm.
I really love that, like da 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 da. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah, that's gorgeous.
really nice. But those outro strings are
Good
just like
lord.
beautiful. Like that's John Bryan.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was him
Oh,
and Mac produced this one.
actually, unfortunately, are you familiar with the significance of this song?
No.
So Mac's last tweet is about the end of this song, and he says, "The end of So It Goes is so beautiful, man. I told John Bryan to play this, the Ascension to Heaven, and he nailed it.
Oh my gosh, that's dark.
And then he died that night.
That night,
That he tweeted it.
bruh.
Like on Instagram Live, he like had played this song. That was the last thing he did, and then like hours later, he died.
Yeah.
I guess we're kind of entering the wrap up stage. It is. I think there's problems with this album, but this guy was 26.
Not old.
Like
He's just getting started, really.
yeah, like, and he was making. I think this album was really really solid, and it is really heartbreaking to think
What he could have done.
what he could have done.
Especially, man, Circles is a better album, but like he did have a ridiculous amount of potential that it felt like he just sort of started to get tapped into.
Yeah.
Like he had a much better musical appreciation than a lot of his contemporaries, and he never got a huge opportunity to put that on display.
But I think this and Circles. I haven't listened to the other albums, but I think he's definitely kind of left like a legacy.
Oh yeah, people still talk about him quite a lot, and I don't think that'll go away anytime soon.
He seems to like be really kind of close to a lot of people, at least on the internet, when you hear people talking about him.
Yeah,
I think because he does kind of talk about mental health issues and how he's feeling, and does it in a way that isn't like it's not like an XXX Tentacion, like I'm so sad.
Yeah.
I feel nothing but pain, and he does it in a kind of very real, tasteful, and interesting way, and that's what really are the strengths of this album.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Overall, like you said, this is solid album. This is like kind of perfect definition of 7 out of 10 to me. I love the sparsity of everything and the stripped back nature. It's just very understated, but in a good way. Though sometimes thematically, to me, it can feel a tad repetitive. And the jet fuel is just no. But otherwise, yeah, this is solid.
Well, that was us. That was it. We talked about
That was it.
swimming.
That's the end. We're done.
Wait, I haven't checked this with you, but I'm just throwing out here. Do Arcade Fire Funeral next time?
Sure. Let's go.
Cool. Okay, that's what we're doing. Go listen to that for the next episode.
Whoop.
Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah, bro, our TikTok blowing up. No, it's not really, but you should follow us on there, please.
14,000 people have heard Jonah's voice.
He's
famous now. Right, that's it. See you next time. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.